And a good evening, ladies and gentlemen, Houston and the world. 103.5 FM in Houston, HumFMradio.com. Our telephone number is 1-888-749-103.5. Welcome back to Open Forum. We are here every Saturday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. And it's nice to be back again. I know I've been out, in and out,
Me
in and
too.
out.
Yeah,
And
it's
then
really
in
nice.
the next 3 months again, I'm in and out, in and out. It's nice to be out, but it's really good to be back in
Yep.
Houston, and definitely back in the studio out here. The studio is lit up today. We don't need lights anymore here in the studio because we have Aparna in the studio. So who the heck needs lights when Aparna is out here? Welcome to Open Forum, Aparna. As we all know, this is her third time that you've come to our...
Third time?
Yeah,
Third
yeah.
time.
Third
Wow.
time is
Third
always a
time's a
charm.
charm.
So I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, let's see. The first time we put you on YouTube, we have about 6,000 views. For us, that's amazing.
That's
for you,
awesome.
it's like chicken feed or change. But for us, it's really good. So I'm hoping third time we're going to hit that 10,000 mark. And because we are live on Facebook and we're going to be on YouTube later on. So to go on Facebook, friends, you can go on Darshak Tucker's Facebook account, and soon I'll be sharing it on my account, so you can be there. And thank you for listening and tuning in. We have Aparna from Houston, Aparna from India Matchmaking, Aparna from New York. I mean, Aparna has been all over now. And again, welcome to Open Forum.
It's good to be here today. I'm glad I'm in Houston for this.
Fantastic. She came
Great.
just for this, and I love it. Smriti Grover, my co-host, Jagat Kamdar. You see an empty seat out there? That's Jagat Kamdar. He's going to be
probably on
here
his
soon.
way.
He's going to be
Yeah.
here soon. I'm really excited to have a chat with you, Aparna. We had a great talk. You wrote a book few months ago, and it came out in the market this year. We talked about it, and it's how's the book doing?
Good.
It's
unlikable.
called-
She's unlikable.
She's unlikable, and other things that women.
And other lies that bring women down.
Oh my gosh, how is that book doing?
It's doing great. It's doing really well in America and Canada, and it's a bestseller in India.
It's a bestseller in India. I like that.
It's top 10. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you recently came back from India, right?
I was there in May, so I did
Okay.
25 days there. I did a large book tour there, and it was so great to meet fans there. You know, the show came out in July of 2020, the first season, so I never got that opportunity to be in India right after that show. So the book was a great moment to really connect with fans on the ground and to promote the book.
So you went to what places did you go to?
Just Delhi and
Okay.
Mumbai for that tour, and then on my own travels, I went to a few other
and
cities.
this was after we had you on the show. We talked about the book, right, Sabod? Do you remember?
Yes, we had a great
And
time.
then I think you were just leaving for India.
I believe I
day
was leaving
later-
a day later.
That's
yes,
right.
correct. And I was stress packing, as all of you know, when you go to India, you're
Yes.
stress packing that day before.
You were talking about that
Yes,
the other day.
yes. Oh, I had visa issues too. That's what was happening.
Right. That's right. All got resolved.
All
and-
got resolved, and I made it to India on time.
So how did people in India take to your book launching and about your book? What kind of reception did you get out there?
I mean, so much love. I think that there is a big movement there, especially in the younger generation of women, to be speaking about the issues that I brought up in the book. Casteism, colorism, especially sexism. They're experiencing it there on a real level in their workplaces, in the matchmaking field, in their WhatsApp groups, everywhere they look. And so they're really related to the content and the topics that I brought up. And I got a lot of love. It was a beautiful experience.
And that's book number 1 out of how many?
One out of one.
One
for
out
now.
of one for
My
now.
literary agent would like it to be different, but it's
Right,
one
right.
out of one for now.
Well, let's track back a little
Okay,
bit. You know,
sure.
as you know, just before the first season came out, which was a
Right.
couple of years ago now, just
July
after
of
COVID.
2020.
Yeah,
Mhm.
just after COVID. I remember we had to mask up, and then we unmasked ourselves because it's the show.
On and
Unmasked,
off.
yeah.
Yeah.
And at that time, Aparna, we talked about you, Aparna as a person, Aparna as the lawyer, Aparna as a daughter, friend, and it was amazing. I mean, and the show that got you on India Matchmaking, there was a story to that. So I want to recap that story. Tell us, how were you selected? How did you get on Indian Matchmaking? Which, by the way, is fantastic. Season 1 was amazing. I like season 2 also. Some people have mixed feelings
Really,
about
I love
that.
the season 1 better than
Yeah,
season 2. but
Smriti and I shared
don't know.
about that fact. She said, I like season 1. I'm like, season 2 was not bad. It was smooth, cool, different.
Different.
But it was
Yeah.
season 1 that really captured the moment of Indian matchmaking. Tell us how you got onto that.
Yeah, it's actually the first pages of my book. The book opens with my casting moment. So for me, It was standing in line at an airport about to board. I was standby, so I had to be the last one on the plane. And back in 2018 when this happened, Instagram wasn't big. Facebook was bigger back then. And I was scrolling through Facebook and someone had posted, "Are you single? Are you South Asian? Are you really looking, for your partner?" And I said, "Yes, all three, yes." And they're like, "Apply here. My sister's the casting director of this new show. And on the show, you'll work with the best matchmaker." And I thought, well, this is a great opportunity. I'm single. Like, here I am. So I filled out that application. In 5 minutes, I boarded the plane and I forgot all about it. A few hours later, I would land, turn on my phone, and I already had an email. "We would love to start the casting process."
Wow.
So now I tell people, be careful. Those decisions you make in 5 minutes will literally change your life.
Especially if you're standing in the
best.
line out there.
Yeah, I know. But we make so many decisions every day so quickly. And I don't think we think about the impact of them. And for me, that was a very 5 minutes I'll always remember. Now I'm a little more cautious when I make my 5-minute decisions.
Wow. So that's what, and then the auditions came on, and that took a while, though, right?
Yeah, they take months. You go through a process. I can't talk too much about
No.
casting processes, but yeah, you go through many rounds, different tests, a psych eval, all these different obstacles along the way, and then you finally get selected, like I did, or you don't.
Well,
but
someone
I
asked
did.
me. Someone asked me, "Do you get paid for it?"
$0.
$0.
Okay.
Both the times.
Both times.
Both times.
It's an unscripted show. It's you volunteering to tell your story.
And boy, did y'all tell the story.
Well, we didn't tell any stories.
Well,
An editor
actually,
did.
The editor did.
An
Well,
editor
you
did.
see a story.
Boy, did we live our
and
lives.
did they cut,
I think what
cut
a
and paste?
life-changing moment, right? You're standing somewhere in the line and this happens and you make a decision and the path that follows is so different, right?
Yeah.
So season 1, obviously, people started judging you, right? They obviously, when you go on live, when we on radio, they judge us.
Yeah.
I mean, when I go to a party, they said, "You are the craziest man I've heard in the last 6 weeks." I said, "You said that 2 years ago also. Nothing has changed."
Yeah.
So people do judge you, right? And they did say that, "Oh, she's never going to do this. She always rejects everybody. Her standards are too high."
Right.
Did you learn anything from season 1 when you went into season 2?
Yeah, I didn't work with Seema again. I mean, if that wasn't the best lesson I learned,
Wait, hold on. Seema from Mumbai.
no,
I'm
Seema from Indian
Is that what
Matchmaking.
she's-
Just
I'm just saying,
Seema.
the way she used to introduce, she's never going to take me on that show anyway, so I can say whatever I want to. Guys, I'm Seema from Mumbai. That's what she comes
very
up
good
with all the
impression.
time.
Very good
Well,
impression.
thank you.
We need you in a yellow Salvar kameez
Yeah,
next.
there you go.
And
And
then
the
we'll go
golden
there.
background. What was that place? Was that a
I don't
movie
make the
theater?
show. I don't know.
Was it in Mumbai? You're from Mumbai.
I know
Was
it
it
looked
from Mumbai?
it looked like one of the hotels out there.
Oh,
Okay.
might be.
But it's like, how many times did they shoot that same
A
thing?
lot.
And it was a
So
beautiful.
I know, suppose you
background.
were talking to her about, about the show and about the story and how people portray, and it's a script, right? And it's been written. Was it really
Definitely
written
not
for
a script.
No, it's
No,
no.
it
They
wasn't.
edited
100%
it.
not a script.
It's just
an
edited.
editor?
Yeah.
It's just edited.
Yeah, I feel like we need to have this conversation again.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
scripted
Yeah.
is when someone gives you a script and
Right.
you learn and memorizes those lines and delivers them as they be a character. Unscripted is where they film us for many days and hours, and then they take all of that footage and they craft it into a story that they made up.
And
They-
it's up
they
to their
create-
discretion.
And they-
to,
what they
just
like
pick
to-
what they like and
to
what
depict.
they don't like.
Right.
Right.
So
what they
I
like
am
to-
not an editor on the show.
Right.
I am just there existing, and people are taping and taping and taping and taping. And then at some point they'll go into, I don't know, I imagine a little room.
Yeah.
And then they'll
Yeah.
say, this
Yeah.
is the story we want to create. What
Right.
scenes did we capture that could create the story?
Right. So in season 2, you never did work with Simi because
Seema,
she
yeah.
Simi, right? Seema auntie, yeah. And so how did you get on the show? I thought she was the one who's going to be
Yeah.
maybe picking. I don't know. I may be wrong totally.
Well, the show is called Indian Matchmaking.
Right. So
So I am still in the matchmaking process, and a friend of mine on the show you see sets me up with her cousin. And that is a big part of our culture. South Asian matchmaking often looks like a coworker, an uncle and auntie,
Right.
a formal matchmaker sometimes your friend who matchmakes you. I feel
Right.
like what's so beautiful about our community is the way that we're invested in each other's success. And that's in our career, in our love lives, and everything. And
Right.
so I thought it was a really cool way to authentically tell the story of not only me, but of our culture.
Right.
Not most people will never go to a matchmaker, and they will still have the matchmaking experience in India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, South Asia. And so I thought it was a cool opportunity. I was very upfront with the people who make the show, and I said, I will not amplify or condone Seema's behavior. I'm not going to be a part of it. So either I am on the show on my terms, or I'm not on the show at all. And I don't really care either way. Honestly, I get paid $0. What do I care?
Right.
And they were like,
But it did catapult you to a level that you are at right now. Maybe you could have done that on your own. It may have taken a little longer time. I'm just trying to ask you, is that true, or is that a statement I'm making out of my hat out here? It did catapult you. I mean, you were on the screen. You were Aparna. You were like me. I am Aparna. Be like Aparna. No one says that. You said it, and it just put you on that higher level where you are today. I mean, you have.
well, I did the work. I
You
think I
did
wrote
do
a
the work.
book.
Yeah.
I did the work.
You
I think
did.
a lot of my castmates lived the same life that they lived before the show. And I think that's great. That wasn't for me, and I was already going to change my life. I was already going to move to New York. I was already going to change my career. This maybe changed the direction of it, but I had those plans anyway. And for me, what was important this season was about telling my authentic story, because I think what was interesting about my portrayal on season 2, on season 1, was that it was polarizing. A lot of people loved me. A lot of people hated me, but that's what polarizing means.
Yeah.
Right.
And the people that love me really wanted to see my story continue. And they really thought it was important for my story to continue because, they said it was for us an opportunity to see a woman living life on her own terms. And I thought, well, season 2, so much has changed. I'm no longer a lawyer. I don't live in Houston anymore. And the story is about my ultimate love story. Whether or not I found love, what I was showing them was my ultimate love story of building a life I love. I feel I'm going to be such a great partner to someone because I'm so filled with happiness right now. And I think when so many women see another single woman filled with happiness for herself and her life that she's building, they'll see the story of hopefully what they aspire to and what they can reach for.
Right.
That it's not really the partner, but that it's love for yourself in your life that you're really looking for.
Folks, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
Folks, you're listening to Open Forum. We have Aparna from Indian Matchmaking in the studio live. Our number out here is 1-888-749-1035. I'd love to keep these lines open if you want to ask a question. 1-888-749-1035. So, be like Aparna, right? How has that message gone out to, say, your fans, for example?
Well, the message was started by a woman who tweeted that right after the show came out in 2020. She was an English teacher in a small town that I had never heard of outside of Calcutta.
Oh, wow.
And she started that hashtag on Twitter, and it went viral. And it was from the people that loved me on the show that said, this is a confident South Asian woman who believes that she deserves love and she's going to find the right person, and she's going to wait until she finds that right person, and she won't be pressured by a matchmaker or by society. She's going to do what's best for her. And that's where that hashtag came from that woman. And then it spread all over the world, and people agreed with it, and Team Aparna was born. And it's a majority women, but it's a lot of men too. I get the most touching messages from young fathers who have daughters, and some of them are South Asian, some of them are not. And they say, I love that my daughter's going to grow up and see a person like you on her TV screen. I love that she's going to have a role model of a confident, ambitious woman on their screen. And I thought, that's not what I intended to do, but man, is that humbling and beautiful to think about. A dad the other day he's white and his wife is South Asian, and so he has daughters that are biracial. And he said, I bought your book and I brought 3 copies. They're 15-year-old twins, and we read a chapter and then we all talk about it.
That's amazing.
And I thought, first of all, what a dad to buy this memoir of a woman in her mid-30s who's South Asian. What a dad to read it with his twin daughters. He says, for me, it allows them to connect to their culture, but also to just a strong woman. And I want to share that with them. So he said, we are the proud owner of 3 of your books. And I thought, that the luckiest.
Amazing.
I'm the luckiest woman
Did
in
he
the
sign
world.
those? Have you signed that book?
I have
Those
not.
books?
I don't know where they live in the world. They
there
could
you
be in Korea or Australia.
Could be
I don't
anywhere.
even know. My
Could be
followers come
anywhere.
from anywhere. So
That is so true.
I was just really touched, though.
That
What
is
a
true.
dad.
In season 2, you obviously, you were trying to look for a mate again.
Yes.
And tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I used my friend who was on another Netflix show, actually. So she's in the Netflix family. She was on the first dating show that Netflix ever did called Dating Around. Her name is Gorky Basra. Her parents live here in Houston. And we became friends after the show. And she was like, I want to matchmake you. And I was like, I trust you. You're on my team. You understand my values. You really want my happiness. And she's like, it's actually my first cousin. I was like, well, I trust that you love him and you want the best for him. So if you're doing this matchmaking, I trust you.
Right.
And I think that's a beautiful thing that I didn't have in season 1. I didn't have someone listening to me. I didn't have someone I trusted. I didn't have someone on my team. And so I knew that if I was ever to go into matchmaking again, that it would have to be on these terms. And it's a cool story to tell. I mean, Thaman is a nice person. We did not work out for many reasons off screen, which I don't need to talk about, but he was a good match for me, and that person who put us together, the friend, was thoughtful in that, and I think that was a beautiful thing to share on screen.
And he had a twin brother.
Yes,
Is
a
that
twin,
true? Yeah.
yes.
And but she chose this young man
She did choose
over
this
the
twin.
other guy.
Yeah. I wanted both of them. I say that in the show.
Yes, you
I
did.
was like, let me
You said,
pick.
let me pick one.
Yeah.
And that's true.
But in the end, I trusted my matchmaker.
Right.
Yeah.
So from
let me ask
season
you this.
from season 1 to season 2, you feel like you've had more control over your own destiny in romance, right? Is that what you're trying to portray? That you're more comfortable with yourself, and you didn't want to go on Seema's terms.
I've always been comfortable with myself. I hope that was evident in season 1 too. What I wanted to show was not even the matchmaking. That was not important to me. I mean, it's a matchmaking show, but like I said, the ultimate love story for any woman and maybe any man is the one where they fall in love with themselves and what they're building for themselves. And I'm writing my own screenplay for a movie right now. I'm creating my own show. I've written my own book. I've moved to a city where I've gotten new friends. I'm still, back and forth to Houston, so I'm connected to my family. I'm truly building something that's special to me. And every day I wake up and think, I'm so lucky. That's the love story. That is the ultimate love story. And really, if South Asians understood that more, I think we would be kinder as a community. We would be kinder to each other. And so my portrayal on the show, no matter how they made the portrayal, was always going to be that that was of utmost importance. Now, if I found love, that would be great. If I didn't find love, in the time that we taped, whatever, I wanted to share that.
Interesting, really interesting topic. But my question, Aparna, is to you. The first time when you came, you were a little, not quite happy with what happened on the wedding session, one time. What is the difference between this session at this time, wedding sessions, and the one that you appeared? And are you positive that this would create some kind of a results for you if you are part of it at this time? Or it is the same game that is being played out? What I personally felt that it was more of a marketing technique than really putting two people together.
But then there are two couples who got married, though. I mean,
Yeah, but
They found themselves, right?
They found
They
love.
found their partners
Right.
themselves.
Well, yeah.
It wasn't through-
Pradyun got married.
Yeah.
To someone else.
Just
Yeah.
to somebody
Someone
else.
else, yeah.
Yeah, so
They found someone, yeah.
I honestly
Gotcha.
think I honestly think that she made a lot of money. But I
But of
think
course,
that
it's a show.
Of course, it's a show. It's a money-making show. But I don't think the participant like her, that they were really happy with the show. I mean, we are only hearing from her. We do not know the reactions from the other folks.
Yeah.
So I do not know.
I don't think she ever said that she was not happy with the show. I mean, you were happy with the show, weren't you?
I was not happy with the vilification of women on the show, and I believe that was happened again this
Exactly,
season.
Right.
I think we saw it a lot this season. I've talked a lot about it on my social media. There's a lot of, mention in the show about the men and their careers, and that shapes their stories. And for the women, there is no mention of their careers. For me, they didn't even mention, even though it was happening at the same time, my book launch,
Yeah.
my international
I
book
was a
launch,
little
where my
surprised.
book became a bestseller.
Right.
Not even mentioned. No one even knows I wrote a book. If you watch the show and don't know me, you
Yeah.
don't
Yeah,
know
you
I
would
wrote a
not
book.
think.
Right.
But
You're
did
right.
you,
You know
did you
what?
ever
Absolutely
mention
right.
that yourself and got edited, or they didn't ask you a question?
Did you
I guess?
talk about it at all?
I'm not allowed to say,
Okay, that's fine, that's fine.
but let's just say it was a huge part of my life that year, and it was not shown to the viewers.
Gotcha.
And I would have disagreed with the viewers not understanding that a big part of my story is the things I'm building, and what I'm building is messaging my story across the world for
Right.
women to read.
Right.
And I think that's really unfair. And the vilification of women perpetuated itself through Seema's commentary, which I'm very glad I was not a part of because, like I said, she does not align with my values. But the other women who worked with her, got the brunt of it again.
Yeah.
If they didn't find a man attractive, they were suddenly calculative. If they wanted a man who was athletic like them, they were suddenly, not of a stable mind. Well, none of the men got that commentary.
Exactly. And
Yeah,
that is
actually,
that
that
is
is
the
true.
point that I want to
Season
make
two.
here
Yeah.
is when I saw that the wedding session first time,
India
I-
matchmaking.
India,
Matchmaking.
whatever you call it,
You know,
India
wedding-
matchmaking.
this wedding session reminds me of cricket. Session 1, session 2,
I was like,
session
what
3.
is a wedding session? It was
Okay.
like, was I a part of
Okay.
it? I don't know if I'm in this.
Okay.
The show.
I guess I
The show.
misspoke.
You can call it the show.
I
Tend
think that's
to-
the one you're going to make
tend
next
to
time.
get corrected.
All right.
But
you
I
can call
got the
it
feeling.
show,
I
though.
got the feeling the last time when I watched it that there was kind of a subtle pressure on a woman
Uh-huh.
to not really. I mean, to compromise,
Mm-hmm.
and give up on some of the values.
It was
And
not
the-
subtle.
Huh?
It
Okay.
was not subtle.
Okay. All
He's
right.
being polite.
Okay, maybe, but and there was nothing happening to a man's side, that okay, he is there,
Yeah.
and you need to compromise so that you can get a match. I think that line somehow that did not go well with me, and I'm sorry, but to be honest
Don't
with
be
you, I
sorry
did not
because-
like.
don't be-
because
that's
I
okay.
did not like
That's a
the
great
show.
feminist
I
right
did
there.
not like the show.
You're a wonderful feminist.
I'll tell you what, I'll take a call out here. Folks, if you want to jump in this conversation, please give us a call, 1-888-749-1035. We have Aparna from India Matchmaking. It's probably one of the best shows that I've seen.
Wow. You're
and
totally
fun
biased.
Show. Fun show, I would say. I don't know how to judge best or not best, but it's a fun show. You could see that. So let's get Yogi on our line. Yogi, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right. How you doing, Aparna? Welcome to Houston again.
Oh, thank you. Nice to be home.
Yes, I think I watched the first show series also, and recently, a couple of weeks ago, me, my wife, and my 40-year-old son, all three sit together and watch the show, all the episodes
Wow.
together. And I think our feeling is that you are right, Aparna. The Seema aunt is just trying to say looks like when we get an impression that she's living somewhere back in 30 years back, when your aunties are making your matchmaking, that you have to compromise on this and you compromise on that and stuff like that. And the way you stood out in the first season and what you're coming out now, it's kind of like very inspiring to a lot of women.
Very
who are watching
consistent.
this show.
Yeah, you didn't compromise. You were very consistent. One of the comments that Seema had was, and again, this is something about Indian weddings. Jagat, you were probably part of it. I was not. You got married. Did you know your wife before you got married?
No.
Okay. So that's what Seema said. First marriage, then love. I mean, this is one of the
Yeah.
quotation that I saw.
Well,
That may resonate with a different generation, but not with this
Exactly,
generation.
and precisely the point, that listen, the generations that I grew up, that did not mean that during my time people did not fall in love. They did
Right.
fall in love. I was one of the unlucky ones that who did not fall in love.
What do you mean? Now you fell in love
but
after
I'm,
marriage.
I'm married, and,
And
I'm
she's
happily
listening to
married.
you anyway.
Right?
I mean, those.
Wait, hold on.
those-
She's
those
listening to
younger
you,
years-
and she's making dokla for you
Listen,
today.
when you are in
What the heck?
college, when you are in college,
Right,
w-
right.
Remember, I mean, you did too. You were already in love, right?
I was deep in love. Man.
Right,
Are you
right.
kidding me?
Yeah.
For 5
But when-
years, I
when
tried to
all
marry
those
that
girls
woman.
and
She wouldn't-
boys that
okay,
were-
I had a different concept.
listen to
For
me.
5 years, I tried to marry this girl, and she wouldn't marry me. And then she gave up. She had to marry me.
So she has to marry. So all those boys and girls that who did not fall in love
Yeah.
during our time, maybe it's
Right.
true even during this time also, that somehow that they always wished that they had somebody,
Okay.
friend that you can, hook up with.
Yeah, there you go.
Right.
There you go.
Or
Yeah.
you fell in love with,
Right,
on
but-
your
yeah.
own. Okay.
But
Yeah.
so
agree.
same thing with you, Smriti. You met
what
someone. Yeah. Okay. Let's get Yogesh. Yeah. Go ahead, Yogi.
Because I have a different experience than you guys. According to you, I'm really, really lucky because I started dating my wife when we were both like 15 years old. And we dated for 8 years, and then we got married in 71. Now we are married for 51 years
Right.
together.
Yeah,
So-
that's awesome.
But that
That's,
was
that
in-
is-
yeah,
in
that's the
early
right way to do it.
That's a good way.
There is no right or wrong, though.
Hold on.
Actually, you know what? It's surprising, but I've had both ways. So I should not. This is my second marriage. The first time I got married was arranged. I didn't know him. It didn't work out. I mean, we were married for a long time, but this time I fell in love and it worked.
You
It's
found your
working.
man. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
found my man,
Yeah.
and it makes a difference. You know,
It does, right? Right. So
It absolutely
So
does.
we had different generations.
Yep.
Your generation, what do you make of that statement? First is marriage, then is love.
Well, I think it's interesting. Again, I didn't work with her, so I didn't have to comment back to her. Very, very lucky for her, I'm sure. But the others weren't having it either. Even the doctor, the cardiologist in Cleveland or
Right.
wherever he was,
Right.
says, I don't know, you're saying 60 or 70% a lot, but that's a C plus. And a C plus in my partner is not really going to work. And so I think that
How can you even grade like that?
she does. I mean, and a lot of people and a lot of the cast, kind of fought back against those notions that she was, perpetuating. And I thought that was an interesting, tension back and forth where we were seeing the modern South Asian in their 30s. I think everyone on the show is in their 30s. Really, fight back against the notions that she was trying to perpetuate from a different generation. And we see that in the conversations that they have and the choices that they ultimately make outside of SEMA. Every match that you see besides one in all 2 seasons has been found on their own terms and outside of the matchmaking process. And I think that says a lot about the modern South Asian.
Is that the guy who lived in Nasik? Is that what you're talking about? No.
He does not find love on
Okay.
the show. I'm sure
Okay.
in life he will.
He will, yeah.
But Sheetal from the show meets an
Sheetal.
oncologist down in
That's
Miami.
right, that's right.
Viral meets someone on the show named Akshay.
Yeah.
Akshay.
Yes.
Um,
The one who tried to climb the wall is the rock
Yes,
climbing
the
guy.
rock climbing
Yeah.
guy.
Okay.
you've got a
Those
good
two.
memory.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
do. I do.
And you will be following those 2 stories again in season 3 when it comes out sometime. I can't
Yeah.
tell you when. I actually don't know when.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's interesting that we will continue to see these stories play out on our screens, but a lot of it is finding love on your own terms.
Right.
And even Viral, who met the guy through Seema's match, says, but this is 100%. And I want to be very clear about this, that I didn't settle for 60 to 70%. He is my 100%. And I thought that was a very powerful statement. And I think it shows a lot about where we are as a generation and the way that we view love.
Yeah. What about that gentleman from Chicago and Nadia? They were kind of close. I forgot his name. Shaker, was it? Yeah. They were so close. They almost came right there, and then boom, something
Boom,
happened.
something
Tell us-
happened, right.
Tell us. So the Shaker and Nadia were very close, and she was waiting for him to say something. But then she meets a gentleman who's 26 years old, and she's 30 something.
35.
35.
34.
And she actually fell for this guy and let the other guy go, kissed him, and then this guy saw it, I guess. So my question is, does age make a difference? I mean, there are people on that show, that girl was, 7 years older, and does age make difference in dating, in marriage?
Not in my
In your-
opinion.
yeah.
I mean, obviously, Seema makes some pretty strange comments about Priyanka Chopra.
Yeah, she did.
And
She
that,
actually-
that's,
She sure did.
yeah. And
Which I thought
Nadia-
was weird. They should have cut that part. If anything was to be cut, that should have been edited.
But Nadia sits on the couch and disagrees with it then, disagrees with it later, and makes her own choice. And I think that, again, says a lot about our generation, that we're not going to look at age the same way. There's no rules for us anymore that maybe existed 20 years ago that, oh, you should really marry someone who's only like a year or less younger than you if you're a woman. Now a woman will be with someone 3 or 4 or 5, 6 years younger than her, or be with someone 15 years older than her.
Right.
I think what we're looking for is true partnership, and that can look different than it
Right.
maybe looked even
You're
15
absolutely
years
right.
ago.
Absolutely right. Because I don't think that the age should make any difference whatsoever. As a matter of fact, I know few couples that wives are 10 years older than the husband, and they're happily married because they fell in love.
Fantastic.
You
Right.
know, and for
I think
they've
if
been
your
married for
values
more than.
match,
Values.
and then you
So
I think
yeah,
that
the
doesn't
point
matter
is
how
the
old or
age
how
age
young
should
you are.
never make a difference.
One of the episodes, and correct me if I'm completely wrong. My memory is not that good, but I'm going
I
to.
don't know. I think it's pretty good.
I'm going to try to retrieve this. One of the maybe it was season 1 where you liked the guy and you were about to go on a second date, or you had the opportunity to, but you chose to go to Paris instead. Tell us about that.
Oh, that was this
Was it?
That was this season.
This season.
Yeah,
Tell
that
us
was
what
two.
happened.
Oh, I never said I liked him.
Oh,
I said we
well,
had one date,
yeah.
and then I went.
But
to
you had an
Paris.
opportunity to go for the second one, right? Or
I said, had there been an opportunity, I don't remember
You
if there
can't-
was.
okay.
I actually don't even remember the guy. I
Yeah.
remember that I was dating someone around
Someone,
then. But
yeah.
anyway,
So much for a second time. I don't think
We
she
love
would
you,
have, though.
Aparna.
I mean, I
Yeah,
honestly
yeah,
don't
I don't know
remember
who
him.
that I don't know who it was, but
I don't know who it was, but I obviously picked Paris.
Yeah, you did.
It was very hot in New York last summer, and I got very I had never lived in the city during the summer, but the pavement steams,
it
the
is.
subway is hot. I mean, the sun just pounds down in that city, and I looked at my family, and on a FaceTime one day, and I was like, guys, I can't do this. They're like, oh, come on home to Houston. I was like, no, I'm going to go to
it's
Paris
worse,
for the
yeah.
month.
Yeah, there you go. Come to Houston.
And so I left New York, and I went to Paris for 1 full month. I had never spent that long there, and I had the best time. I
bet.
really did. I was all by myself. I mean, I tried to be all by myself, but then everyone found out I was in Paris for a month and came and visited me.
Oh, nice.
But I was trying to be alone.
Yeah.
And when I came back, they asked, the show, they're asking me all these questions that you're seeing my answers to. And they're like, how's dating been? I'm like, I don't know. I was just in Paris. And they're like, well, were you dating someone before Paris? I'm like, I think I had gone on a date. And that's when that statement comes out. I'm like, I don't know. I picked to go to Paris instead. I'm not going to wait for a guy to ask me on a second date or to say yes to a second date and miss an opportunity like this. I mean, I will never again, most likely, have an opportunity to go stay in the Marais in Paris in a beautiful apartment by myself.
Yeah.
There was no tourists there. Paris had just opened, or France had just opened, I think, a week before, which is why I made the decision to go. So it was a summer of no tourists in Paris. Usually when you go to summer in summer in Paris, it's crazy, right?
It's crazy.
Tourists from all over the world. There was not one tourist. I was like the only American there because the borders had just opened. And what a moment in my life. I will always remember that. And I was certainly not remember the guy, it seems.
Yeah. So that's good. He wasn't worth it, obviously. What's the perception of dating today versus dating 30, 40 years ago?
Well,
Has it changed?
I don't know. I wasn't alive 40 years ago.
Well, you
but-
don't know, but yeah.
But have you ever talked to your mom or had that conversation
Well,
with
you
her?
guys
sitting-
expressed it yourself that if you didn't find someone in college, then someone was going to set you up and you were going to be okay with that. And I think now from the show, the big conversation that was coming up is that tension I talked about, that a lot of, South Asians in their 30s who grew up with immigrant parents don't find it okay. So their views on the cultural norms have already changed from them growing up in this country, most of the time being born in this country. And this season was really special. It was a lot of American cast members, so we didn't really have that same contrast with the Indian cast. We had one person in India this time. And I think the storylines were obviously a lot more progressive, and the casts that you were meeting were obviously a lot more Americanized this season.
Let me ask you the flip side of it. I read an article about wedding and marriages and falling in love and all this by a British woman living in England, in London. It's a big article, and basically she ultimately concluded that there is nothing wrong in having an arranged marriage, and the reason she cited having an arranged marriage simply because the kind of pressure at a certain age that a woman goes through if she is not married, and to find a love, on your own, it is so difficult sometimes, and so much of pressure that a woman sometimes just cannot handle that kind of a pressure, written by a woman, and so subsequently. He says, I'm ready if somebody can really hook me up with someone.
But isn't that when you're making a compromise? I mean, it's not somebody you would.
This was her personal
Plus,
experience
it's an
talking
opinion.
about it.
It's an opinion of
opinion, Right.
one
yeah.
person.
No, it's an opinion of a one person, but when a one person writes it in a newspaper, it makes some sense.
Well, what makes more sense, or not even sense, but has more scope, is my story on my Netflix show, which hit 140 countries, and that's why I put it out there. Because I don't actually face any pressure to get married. My mom's not telling me, my friends aren't telling me, no one was telling me except for Seema to settle or compromise. And so I wanted to normalize that conversation, because the more that we tell our stories, the more that we normalize them. So this woman was trying to normalize her experience, that she would be open to it, even though many of her friends maybe aren't. And I'm trying to do the same by sharing my story. I believe the sharing of the stories is the important part. And her opinion is valid, and my sharing of my story was valid. And hopefully, the pressure that she speaks about in society lessens over time because it's more normal to see me on your TV screen and my story, and that Paris and writing books and New York doesn't mean I don't want love. It means that I'm waiting for the right person that fits into this life and that is part of my happiness. I'm not choosing one over the other. And I think that's a really harmful narrative. People, and that's what the producers were trying to do with that. They're like, how are you going to find love if you go to Paris? A lot of people meet people on planes or in Paris
Anywhere.
or in the grocery
Right.
store or wherever you go. So this is a harmful narrative that women have to literally be sitting in a tower with their hair in a braid waiting for some man to climb up and save them. There is no saving that is needed. We are all living life on our own terms, hopefully, and along the way we'll meet someone lovely
So-
and someone that fits into
Aparna,
that.
And
but you're very, very lucky that you have a mother like that who's understanding, or you're around women in a very educated place. But I think what he was saying is sometimes everybody is the result of their environment and circumstances. So sometimes what happens is maybe the parents are not forthcoming because their idols have been set from all that
Oh,
while
100%,
ago, and
but I'm
they
saying-
feel the pressure.
But I'm saying
right?
if we don't share our stories as modern South Asian
I-
women, then we'll
yeah.
never move the needle or normalize
Absolutely.
Right,
my
absolutely.
experience. I know it's only my
Right.
experience. I want to see it normalized in
Right.
a lot more experiences because it's a lot healthier for women to have my kind of experience, and I would want to gift that to more of them.
Which
So
is
let's
nice
say-
because the
yeah.
younger women then look up to
Right.
you, and they have a reason to talk to their parents about it and
Yes.
stuff. So I agree with your point, but I think I kind of also see where he came from on that.
Yeah, and I agree
So
with that woman.
I think
you know.
this segues into the paranormal, as I call it, in marriages, the horoscope, the face reading,
Yes.
and in your case, the orbiting. Tell us about, you had a Zoom call with someone in Hyderabad.
She's one of my best friends, Sophie.
Sophie.
Sophie's one of my best friends.
I
Yeah.
don't know who Nicole is. Sorry, I don't
I
know.
don't know.
I don't know
I
either.
don't think Sophie's name is
Okay,
Nicole.
Sophie.
Sophie grew up in Memorial
Right.
here in Texas, went to
Okay.
UT, and then moved to New York right out of UT, as many people do, and went into retail merchandising. Many years later, she would get into Western astrology, and then one day she had this idea, this calling that it's actually Vedic astrology that she
Okay.
wants to study. So she started studying Vedic astrology, started building an app around it, and moved to Hyderabad.
Yeah. Of all
This
Wow.
Korean, this
That's
Korean
awesome.
American
I loved
girl
it.
from Memorial.
I was shocked when you said you're from. She said I'm from Hyderabad or someone.
Well,
and
she's
I'm
also
like,
from Memorial in New York
okay,
City.
good, yeah.
like the way that I'm from New
Okay,
York
yeah,
and
there
many
you go, and
places.
other places.
Yeah, but she
So-
has become one of my best friends. I met her very randomly through. Actually, it was strange. Someone had auctioned off an hour of my time.
Your volume.
Oops, sorry. Is it echoing?
Yeah, it's echoing. Somewhere the volume is echoing. Okay, that's okay.
Yeah,
We'll-
that's all right. Go ahead.
So basically, when we met, I had no intention of her coming on the show at that time. We met right before I went to Paris. She was, in fact, in Paris when I was there, so we had dinner and met for the first time there. And it was really an interesting kismet moment where she really resonated with me, and her astrology made a lot of sense to me. And so when the show came about a few months later, I told the producers that it's someone I'm working with. It's a part of my life. You guys love to authentically tape my life. Let's get her on board. And so when I do start dating on the show, she does a compatibility chart for us. She tells us we are not compatible. Did she know something maybe I didn't know at the time? Sure did. And the kind of relationship blossoms from there in this astrology leading us through our life kind of way.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. That I
Interesting,
thought
yeah.
was amazing. So, somewhere it's echoing.
Somewhere
I don't
it's
know why it's coming
I
back.
don't know.
Your phone
My
is off.
phone's
I hope your phone is.
My phone's
or
off.
all the volume has to be. My phone is off completely. Anyway, so the question becomes, how is this generation, your generation, how do they think about all these horoscopes and face reading? I'll tell you why. Again, having born and brought up outside of India all your life, and the guy who was in India and one face reader or someone told him that you have some tantric something on you and you've got to
Curse.
remove it, curse, right,
Yeah.
on you, and you've got to remove this curse. And that guy very obediently does the puja and gets it removed.
Oh, come on. Really?
Yeah, he did it. I don't know if he did it to entertain everybody or did he really. The guy from Nasik, I think it was.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so
Well, how convenient that he lives in one of the most holy places to remove
exactly,
curses.
right? Yeah. So I needed a nice puja. He went along with it.
Yeah.
He had everything done. What does this generation think about those things?
I don't think it's a generational thing. I think it's an individual thing, and that's
Okay.
what we're showing on the show. Like, for me, I love Sophie. You know, I love her American mentality and her hybrid versions of Vedic astrology. I mean, it's actual Vedic astrology. She studies it quite purely, so I shouldn't call the Vedic astrology hybrid. But the way that she can communicate with me, the way that she grew up in the same neighborhood as me, and then is telling me, this is what your chart says, but always remember this. And this is what I've never heard before from someone in India. She said, you have agency. You can change your life. Let's say I tell you some man is in your orbit right now. If you lock yourself in a room and sit there and never move, believe me, he won't find you. Like, you can make this all change by your actions. Now, that's obviously a very extreme action that you would lock yourself in your room. But she does give you that understanding of agency, which I think oftentimes when, you know, in India and even in the season 1 when I had an astrologer, he never told me that. He never said you can change your whole life by the choices that you make.
Yeah.
But that makes sense to me. So as a sensibility of a modern South Asian, that makes sense to me. And I believe in Vedic astrology and in Sophie and my relationship with her, and that's personal to me. So like 900 people can watch the show, or 1,000, and 900 can be like, astrology isn't for me, and 100 could be like, well, that was really cool. I would be interested in introducing that into my life. And it's just that, it's personal. Do you want it introduced into your life or not?
So do you really believe someone is orbiting you and one day you're going to get it?
Yeah.
Okay,
sure.
good. That's very good.
Yeah.
Tell me,
Wow,
what's,
really?
what's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
what's the
That's a personal
difference
belief. Yeah, that's-
between a 55-minute date and a 90-minute date? What do you mean by that?
Nothing. It was a joke.
You made, was it a joke? You want to just
90% of what I say on there is a joke.
Joke.
And no one understands. I'm like, it's
it was a joke, but it was
guys.
a lovely joke.
Yeah.
Can you repeat it? What did you mean by that?
Well, in the first
What's a
season,
50
I
what-
say
yeah.
I go to a wine bar here in Houston that
Oh, yeah.
closes at 10, and I go at around 8:30, and they close. So it was a 55-minute date because by the end they're lifting the chairs up, giving
Yeah.
you dirty looks. Please leave, you
yeah.
know. And so the producers ask, well, what's so different about you this season? And I'm like, oh, I give them 90 minutes now. It was a joke.
But I think that is a nice joke. The other thing I noticed was whenever y'all were dating, you had the upper hand all the time. You told one guy, "Don't touch me." The other guy,
Well, that guy's
I
my
think,
friend.
Yeah, I know. Right. But I'm saying it shows up on the thing. And the other guy, you said, "Sit up straight."
Yes.
And someone else held your hand and said, "Don't,"
Yeah.
something like that. And then yet you yawned at least twice during
Sure
that date.
did. Yeah.
Maybe
Tell us
she was
about
so
that.
bored.
I don't know.
Ooh, yeah, I do yawn when I'm bored, but the yawning is problematic. I can't really talk about what happened
What
there behind the
happened, yeah.
scenes. But our dates are very long, 3 to 5 hours long, and you guys see 2 minutes of them. So I'm sure that if I taped you for 5 hours, you'd yawn, especially.
in between those 5 hours.
Yeah,
of course.
especially.
That's
And
tiring.
remember that, like you're 5 hours into taping, which is very exhausting, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have ever had camera crews follow you around, mic you up, do hair and makeup. Very exhausting process. And yeah, I yawned a couple of times, and they caught it on camera, and they decided to show that to you.
Oh, my
Now,
God.
always remember who's showing something to you and what is their intention of showing it to you. So I think the yawning is quite an interesting
Yeah.
edit, and I do not agree with it. And it happened.
I thought it was
Yeah.
cheesy. They shouldn't have. They cut out so many other good parts. Why didn't they cut this bad
Well,
part
they cut
out?
my whole book out.
Right.
My whole book. But
Which
then
is
they
so
show
important
you a
too.
yawn.
Yeah.
What is the story they are trying to tell? And what is truth? And I think we can all become better as viewers of television if we see it just as entertainment. And I always talk about this dream world of mine that I can help create where people watch TV as TV and they go, that was fun to watch, and then they move on with their lives. But instead, people get so invested. And they're like,
You're
she
so right.
yawned, and then she, told him to sit up straight, and then she did that. And I'm like, okay, calm down. It was just a TV show. Like, in a dream world, you'll understand that, but we're not there yet, and I get it. But it's also my job, again, to start moving the needle and having those conversations. And, now, the other day I was watching a show with my mom, and it was a reality show. It was unscripted, and she was like, oh, that guy, he's so mean to her. And I'm like, Mom, you don't know that's true. And she was like, oh, yeah. And I'm like, you you don't even know your own daughter was on one of these shows. She goes, yeah, I just get so caught up on it. So I get it. I get why people get caught up in it.
People are
Well, not only
visual.
that,
I mean, because
when-
when they see it,
They're
like,
like,
that's
actually, when
true.
they're-
they like to live their lives through it. Too.
Yeah, when
So
they're
it's
watching
just-
movie, and
yeah.
if some people just cannot take it, they start crying watching movies.
Yeah.
That is what you're saying is not a reality there. It's
But
just
you
a movie. Though.
identify with some or the other emotion. That's why you're crying.
But that's
right?
different.
Think
That's a
that's
movie.
a very movie. Yeah.
But
That's
I'm
a
talking about
different thing.
unscripted shows.
Yeah.
Unscripted
In a
shows are
movie,
very
it's
different.
very different.
But my mom was like, that guy seems like he's so mean. And I had to literally sit down and have a conversation with her. So what I think that is, as I share my own story,
Yeah.
somebody will sit in the living room with their friend or over coffee as that person is talking about some reality show and be like, it's probably not true about that person. And one day we'll all say that to each other and that will become the norm.
Yeah.
That's the hope.
Folks, you're listening to Open Forum. We have Aparna from Netflix show, a really popular show, Indian Matchmaking. I know this is your third time you're here in Open Forum. This is amazing that you actually accepted to come back again. We thought we were bad, but we actually
Oh, did
are
I have a
pretty good.
choice? I didn't know that.
Especially after Subodh sits and watches the show in such detail.
I
like
do.
I
Such
shot.
detail.
It was
I do.
almost like
Yeah,
I was
I-
like, is this a girl who's watching the show like this one?
I do.
I think
With
men
those names.
secretly love the show more
I
than women.
think so.
Hey, don't tell me. I haven't watched it yet.
Oh.
I have to be honest. I was smiling through it. It was just funny. To me, it was funny more than anything.
It's funny.
Anything else.
It is
was
funny.
funny. So,
But let
as
me
you were
ask you-
growing up, all girls more than boys have this dream of a wedding, of a marriage, of the life partner they want, of the life they want to live. You had a dream like that?
I sure did.
Can you
Do you still dream?
can you reveal that dream to us?
I had a Pinterest board with all my wedding ideas on it.
So what was your ideal partner or your ideal marriage?
I think everyone's ideal partner in marriage is what they see happening around them. Your own daughter got married as one of the first people in our group,
your
and
group,
and had known her now husband for many years. And I think a lot of us saw that and thought, how nice. What if we had met our spouse when we were 14 or 15? What if we got married at 25? What if our wedding looked like this? And then you get more and more examples, as the years go on. So your daughter was one of the first, but we had 10 years after that, and you just start realizing what's a norm, and you start believing that. And then what was really interesting for me in the show is I got to this point where I moved to New York, and in New York there's this whole other world that exists. Where
sure is. It's
there
a different world.
There is no norm, and there's no milestone, and there's no 30 you're married, 32 your first kid, 34 your second kid, your third kid if you want it. Better do it before 36. Move to your perfect home by that age. Have your perfect job. In New York, it's like live your life, live your best life. Be 50, be 20, marry a person 70 years older than you. Don't ever get married. Don't have kids. Have 5 kids. Nobody cares there. It's like this beautiful utopian world where everyone just lives whatever makes them happy. Man, what if we could bring that to Houston? Unfortunately, we cannot. And
I'm
for
sure
me,
there's some people out here who live the same lifestyle.
maybe, but it's not in our South Asian community that I grew up in personally. Now, it might be in some South Asian community. But yeah, I didn't have that expectation of my life that I saw in New York for everyone else now. And I like that new norm. It
do?
suits me. I think that the freedom and the empowerment that is given in New York City and that mentality, I would love to see that echo more in our world.
One of your comments then in the show itself was it's there. You said, I'm done with the life I wanted.
I don't want it.
What do you, what did you mean by that? Exactly what do you...
Yeah, exactly that. There's a life that we thought we wanted.
Right.
And I would have never told you at 30 that I was going to be on 2 Netflix shows that would air around the world.
Open Forum.
Or Open Forum.
3 times on Open Forum.
3 times on Open Forum.
3 times.
Twice on Netflix, but 3 times
3
on
times
Open
on Open
Forum.
I love it. I like that line.
Yeah, I would have never expected a best-selling book, or I'm writing my own movie now. I'm creating my own TV show now. Like, if at 30 you would have told me that,
Yeah.
I would have been like, no way. I'm going to be married with 2 kids.
I'm
And-
just curious about your movie.
Oh yeah, it's a Hallmark movie, but Hallmark hasn't committed to it yet, so we'll see. But it's a rom-com with a South Asian lead.
Oh,
I
cool.
think we should normalize South Asian women being romantic comedy leads.
Right.
Oh, that sounds
So
fun.
I am halfway through the movie,
Okay.
and we'll see how it goes. It might be on Netflix. Who knows? Whoever I sell it to.
Yeah.
But
But
that's not
uh,
the life I thought
right.
I wanted, and my life now is so much better
Right.
than the life I thought I wanted.
But,
so
how,
that's
but
that's the
however,
lesson.
if a Prince Charming, I know that's a wrong word,
Yeah, totally wrong word.
comes by, I know, but it's one of those, cliches. If that person does come by, then what happens?
He will come by.
Yeah.
And I will
No,
still...
when I said, not
Oh.
yeah, when.
Does
it comes
Prince
by.
Charming exist in your life right now?
Yeah, of course. Oh, no. No, not right now. He exists in this world right now. I just don't... He's orbiting. I have not met him yet.
Let me ask you this. Some of my friends' kids, they got married through so many different apps.
Yes.
What do you think about the other apps? There are thousands of apps for dating or for matching and all these things. Have you explored some of them?
I tried it after the show, but I don't think that it is viable for me personally anymore. I do think it's a great option for so many people, though. If you have not been on a worldwide Netflix show, you should definitely be on a dating app. But if you have, I would recommend you're not on the apps. You get a lot of weirdos. But yeah, for people who have not, become a public figure, I think it's a good opportunity to meet people outside of your circle. It's just a tool. Everything is a tool. A matchmaker is a tool. Telling your coworkers to set you up is a tool. Going to the grocery store and keeping an eye out for a cute guy is a tool. An app is a tool.
Exactly.
So let's see them all as tools. None of them are, to me, stigmatized in any way. All of them are options, and I hope that people use them because I don't think you have to work to find somebody, but I do think you have to put yourself out there and be open to the idea. And sometimes just being on an app and seeing who's in your city or across the country that matches with your values is a way for you to kind of have control over that.
That's
story.
a great avenue to meet people.
But I guess
it's the same way, like if in South Asian communities you set up somebody with something. I think the app does the same.
The question then, my question is then, don't they embellish their record on those kind of apps?
Everyone embellishes themselves.
Yeah.
You meet me in the grocery store, I'm going to tell you all about my good stuff too. If you meet me on an app, I'm going to tell you all about my good stuff too. So I don't think it matters. You got to get to know a person.
I think it may be a beginning of whatever has to happen later on, right? I mean, you put your bio data, as they call it,
Yeah.
your picture out there, and let people connect. And I guess that, I don't know, I've never been to one of those apps. But what I'm saying
the good part
is,
of the app, I think some of them who are realists, I mean, they'll put your shortcomings, they'll put what you like and what you don't like, so it's both. Yeah, it's just not just
There is a dislike section on there.
There is a dislike section on
Yeah.
it.
So if they really dislike something, like if they're like, I dislike dogs, I'm allergic to them, and you're obsessed with your dog, maybe that person's not a good match for you. If you're very allergic.
It just makes it easier.
Yeah, if you're very allergic. Or if you say, I don't, on the apps, they ask you, do you smoke or drink? So like if you say, I really don't drink and I don't want a partner who drinks, and someone loves to go to a wine bar a few nights a week, that's not a good partner for you.
Right.
It's a great person, but not for you.
some of the relationships that we saw on the shows were long distance relationships.
Yes.
What do the youngsters think about long distance? So, for example, again, going back several generations, it didn't matter where the guy was from. It didn't matter. The families would send the person to Nasik or to Timbuktu and get them married. What's the deal about long distance relationships nowadays?
I mean, I have a personal opinion. I think they're great. I think they're a wonderful opportunity to meet someone outside of your bubble. It's a wonderful opportunity to connect with them more emotionally. We have FaceTime. We have planes. You can get to them, on the weekends, most likely, if they're in your country. I mean, it gets a little harder if they're like across the world.
Yeah.
But I think we have so many ways to connect now that it's a great way for a couple to get to know each other and really form a long-lasting bond. So I'm open to it personally for myself. I see on the show that Sheetal is in New York City, meets someone in Miami, and Viral meets someone in New York City, and she's in North Carolina. I think it's a big part of keeping your mind open to meeting someone.
I think it keeps it interesting.
It should
I
be.
met Matt in Chicago.
Yeah.
So, not here.
There we go.
Well, you were traveling then you met him.
Yeah, but still, it's a different place. It's a different city.
No, I remember.
completely,
Yeah.
Right?
I remember you used to fly a lot out
Oh,
there.
yeah.
Now you don't go there anymore.
Not because he's
Now,
here.
because he's here.
Because he moved here. I like that.
Yeah, but that's a part of it, right? For
Yeah.
long
Yeah.
distance relationships, you go through it in the beginning and then you figure out a plan. Hey, I really
Right.
like you. What's the plan? And
Yeah.
your
Right.
guy
What's the
said,
plan? There you go.
plan is I'll move to Houston. And you said,
Right.
cool. And
Smart guy, I said.
Yes,
I'll tell you
yes,
that. Yeah,
very smart
good,
guy.
yeah.
But sometimes one person has to move, and it doesn't have to be the guy or the girl.
Could be
Obviously
either
now
or.
in the
Either.
2 seasons you all have formed a little alumni out there,
Yes.
right? Of how many people have
Family.
Family of
Oh.
yeah.
There's a lot of us
lot.
because there's primary characters, but then everyone we date is a secondary character.
Yeah.
And they're all in the family. I mean,
Right.
I have had WhatsApp calls this season with the guy in Nasik, Akshay, with Pradyuman and his wife Ashima.
Right.
I met them when I was there. I'm still best friends with Ankita from Delhi. So for me, I've even connected with my castmates across the world, and I think that's a really cool opportunity. I'm talking to people whose stories you'll see on season 3, which is already exciting for them and me. And I think it's just a camaraderie that we went through this really unique experience, and that we are putting a lot of ourselves on the line to share our stories because, again, we're getting no money. So why are we doing it?
Yeah.
We believe it's important for the community
Okay.
and for the world to see our stories authentically as we can make them. Obviously, we don't make the show, but we do live our lives and we do choose to share our lives. And I think that they're very brave, every single person who did this, and that connects us.
Exactly.
And-
True.
and-
Very true.
Right. And Aparna, after the first season and now, I mean, you've done books, you're doing movies, you're doing probably some TV shows, etc. Have others also had opportunities like you, or they just, slithered back into their under the rock life, or what? What
It
do you think?
depends. It depends on what they wanted to do. No one's written a book that I know
Okay.
of. No one is writing a movie that I know
Because
of.
no one is Aparna.
Or they love the life that they've already built. Remember, it's all about building a life you love. And if you already love your life as is and you're growing into that life, then, changing it, there's no point. So for me, change was something I wanted. If they didn't want that, I respect that. And, I still think there's always what we all have is now a lack of anonymity. And I think we connect on that too, that like we can't just we can't get on a dating app. We can't,
Oh, you cannot?
I mean, I can, but I have really bad experiences because people are like, I saw you on the show.
Oh, I thought
Yeah.
that may part of the show, contract that
No.
you cannot be.
No,
Okay.
but we've
Well,
lost our
now if
anonymity
she's on
in
the
the
app,
world.
she'll have a million people
Right.
talking to her.
I mean, it's just not a good situation. And so I think that we've lost a lot by giving up our anonymity, and that also connects us. And that's something
is
that's
that good or bad though? I mean,
both.
it's both. Yeah.
I think it's good.
Do
both.
you?
But
have-
let me, if you put your bio on some other apps, how would they know that you were part of the Indian wedding session?
Matchmaking. Session.
Matchmaking. Yeah.
India matchmaking.
The show.
The show.
The show.
Yeah.
What do you mean? My face? Like my face is
Her
on
name,
there.
her face.
Yeah,
right?
but the question is how many people,
Have my face?
no, how
How
many
will
people
know?
would
How will
know,
know?
right?
They
yeah.
would. They would. Aparna is-
99.9% of people.
Aparna
Really?
is-
That high?
She is a
Yeah.
worldwide known person.
I don't think the dating apps are for me or any of my castmates, really.
Yeah, I think you're done. I mean, you're there.
Yeah.
Everyone knows Aparna, and
Yeah.
that's the beauty of it. What's the future for you?
Hopefully a lot of good. The things I'm working on are making me happy, and I speak about them before they've happened. That's a big part of my messaging too, that like I want to see South Asians be more open and transparent about the things that they're trying. Like I said, I'm writing a movie right now, but maybe no one will buy it and you'll never see it. And you'll be like, well, how come you're talking about it before you sell it?
But that's okay.
Because I don't care. Because I want you to see that maybe I'm going to try things and fail things. A big part of our community is we only like to talk about things when they're done. When they're pakka, no
Yeah.
nazar, all
Yeah.
this stuff. And I'm
Yeah.
like, no way. Like, no way.
No
Like,
nazar.
no nazar. And I'm like, nazar away. I don't even care. I'm living my best life. You can
Yeah.
put your nazar on me and I don't even care. So I love to normalize talking about the things I'm trying. And there are many things I am in the works and starting trying. Some things I'm further along on. But I love the people I've connected with because I've talked about them. I want to remind listeners that when you speak about the things you want brought into existence, our wonderful South Asian community helps you bring it into existence.
Right,
Like
right.
the show I'm creating right now, it's a docuseries. I can't tell you much about it. It's in development right now. But my producer and my director, I found them because I was talking about it at a gala. I went to this huge gala, black tie, and people are like, what are you working on? And I'm like, oh, I have this idea for a TV show. And they're like, we have the director for you. What if I hadn't told people about
Yeah.
this idea?
Yeah.
This director is...
That's the orbiting I talk
Yeah.
about.
Yes,
I talk
yes.
about what's called as the cogwheel theory. That was your cogwheel right there. You know these cogwheels turn the gears
Yes.
and the whole machine turns. That person was your cogwheel
Yes.
who connected you to this director.
Who's now
And
going
you're
to
gonna-
change my whole life. And that guy that connected me to her, I've only met once or twice. He seems nice, but
that's all you
know
needed.
what I
That
mean?
was your
That's all I
small
needed.
But that
orbit,
was his
small
role for that
cogwheel.
period of
But the
time. That's
the gear
Yeah.
that's going to
It was
shift is going to be amazing.
And then she said,
pivotal.
I have the perfect producer.
There you go.
And this
There you
woman
go.
just won Cannes Film Festival. And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, you won Cannes Film Festival? You can be
Come
my
on
producer.
over.
Like, you know what I mean? But if we don't speak about the things we want, we will never bring them into existence.
Yeah.
So let's normalize that too.
Absolutely. And
Absolutely.
and I'll
Right.
tell you, Smriti.
But listen,
Jagat-
there is nothing wrong in having a nazar, okay? If somebody looks at you, with that nazar, there's nothing wrong.
I mean, I don't think so either.
Yeah, she doesn't believe
My
it.
life's great.
But in conclusion, I know she's got a lot of other things to do. It's exactly 5 o'clock. I just want to throw it out there. Aparna is a lovely lady. She has you were on Pratham high tea at
Oh
Pratham.
yes, have fun the other
And-
day.
and
I
you
got to do
did,
that.
right?
Yeah, I got to give a little talk.
You know, Pratham always does it in the afternoon. I want to be there. My
For the
heart is
tea,
there.
yeah.
I can't. I mean, professionals just cannot leave the office
I
and be
know.
there.
It's very difficult.
And then you've done so many other things for a lot of people. You know, when Sonal was sick, I know you used to come home, hang around with her, just sit with her, talk to her.
Clean the fridge.
Clean the fridge. She's like, hey, what is this? This bacon was, throw it away.
This
I'm
fruit
like,
has
"What the
spoiled,
heck?"
guys.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw it away.
Yeah. And other things. So we really appreciate what you do. People see you only as who you are on the Netflix, but we know Aparna for a long, long time, and she's just
The
been
beauty
an
of our community.
awesome
Yes.
person.
Right.
And we wish you all the best
Thank you.
in the future, in the movies, more books to write,
So many.
and other things. You know, if there are more seasons, and if they choose you, if you want to go there.
I am not in season 3. I am not in
Well, I'm
season
just
3.
saying there are more seasons. I
Right.
don't,
For
I don't
something
know
else,
if you are.
not on this.
There are
but
other things
they'll-
that
There will be other
there are
things.
other
Gonna
things.
come
It
through.
might not be the end of my journey, but I am
Yeah.
not on season
With
3.
all your activities, don't forget to open forum.
I never will. I need my 4th invitation soon.
Yes.
Come back.
And it's always fun talking to you season after
Yeah.
season. And
Yes.
like time after time, I think we
Yes.
get to know you a little
yeah,
bit better.
it's so much
and
fun.
more, and it's
And
fun.
in imparting any advice to the parents who are listening to you out there, or the youngsters who are listening to you out there, people who are orbiting out there,
Yes.
and looking at other orbits, give us a message out there.
So someone actually asked me that at the Pratham Tea. I'm a parent. What's your advice for me? And this is specific to parents. But in the dedication page of my book, I dedicate it to my mother. And I say, to my darling mama, I call her mama, you gave me the greatest gift of all. You believed in me. And I think if we could do that as parents for our children, if we could just believe in them and trust them that their journey is their own and that they'll build something beautiful from there, that would be the best advice I could give to any parent. Believe in your children as they are and watch them grow and thrive.
And thrive. Fantastic. Folks,
Yes.
that was Aparna from India Matchmaking.
Thank you so much.
Indian-
And he's so
The wedding session.
The wedding session.
Yeah, the wedding
matchmaking
session.
now.
Yeah.
Indian
Hey, that was
matchmaking. Okay.
comedy. Sir, don't go away because we want to talk about cricket in the next hour, and I want you to hang in there, Yogi Bhai, because you are the cricket in Houston that we know. So hold on there, guys. We're going to take a short break and be back with Open Forum. I want to thank Aparna from India Matchmaking, Netflix Season 2. See it and just watch her career go to the Everest right now. Thank you again for coming.
Thank you so
On
much for
behalf
having
of
me.
all of us here and the listeners. Darshak Bhai, I want to say thank you. A special thank you to you. You're an amazing part of the community. Yesterday I saw him at the Garba. He did the lighting and the sound. It is amazing. The musicians are amazing. But more than the musician, you're amazing. So thank you for coming and helping Open Forum anytime we ask you to. And please come back again.
I will.
Thank
I'll see
you.
you guys soon.
How
Thank you.
often do you visit Houston?